Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
The Rise Up Morning Show.
I love the gong every time. It gets me every time.
The gong is great. I also just really thoroughly enjoy that with all the intro jingles. There's some little extra nugget at the end.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, for my Market Watch show, there's just what is it? Oh, there's just like a sheep that's like meh, and I don't know why. It's the most confusing one out of all of them, because I think in the morning show one, obviously there's the gong, but after dark there's another one. I forget what it is. It's like it's a different animal. There's something at the end of each one, and it tickles me each time. Anyway, how you doing, dude?
Oh, not too bad. So on the way home from school, there is this. If you've been around this area, you might have heard of this. There's this bakery called Auspicious. There's two of them, and one of them is literally on my way home from dropping Jordan off. And so I stopped.
Oh man.
Oh my god, dude, their stuff is so good. Although this morning, Big said they did not have almond croissants, and those are
damn. Almond croissants are delicious.
Oh. Yeah, it's like crumbled almonds on top, a little bit of the paste, marzipan inside. Oh,
yeah,
so good. Anyone wondering where Evan is? He's on his way. He'll be here in a second. He's just running a little late.
He's a sleepy boy.
Sleepy boy.
Sleepy baby boy.
To be fair, no, he's a sleepy boy. I was gonna say we were all up. Everyone was up late. Got a couple things to go through today. I wanted to go a little bit deeper on a couple things from yesterday, just because we've got some questions after the fact about specifically the native Bitcoin yield on Aave. How does that work? Bitcoin is not proof of stake. How is it that people are staking? What allows that to happen? So got some stuff we can kind of go into that a little bit. But Will, I want to, just because I know you have a little bit shorter time this morning, do you want to kick us up? Did anything happen?
Oh, there is something I want to update everybody on, and it is about ETH becoming. If you like Hyperliquid, you should now like ETH. Because why does everybody like Hyperliquid? It's because it has a really good burn, like buyback and burn mechanic. Hyperliquid makes a lot of revenue because a lot of people use it. They take a portion of that revenue, they buy back tokens, they burn it, right? What gets excited? What makes investors excited about that? Well, it's the fact that they are going out and reducing supply. That is what is happening with ETH now with the Fusaka upgrade that just went out yesterday. We talked about that last night. So for those who are just tuning in and you don't know anything about the Fusaka upgrade, bare bones, what you need to know, ETH is faster and cheaper for ETH mainnet and layer 2s. There's also a number of other things. The cool thing is this burn mechanic. So one of the really good arguments against ETH as like an investment was like, oh, hey, like, yeah, it has a lot of usage, but 85% of the usage of Ethereum is on the layer 2s. And because the layer 2s make ETH so cheap, people need less Ethereum in order to pay for gas fees and the like. So there's less of a natural need for ETH, and that hurts the ability for ETH's price to go up. No longer. So what this upgrade does is it also makes it so that there will be a larger burn associated to layer 2 activity. So I ran some math this morning.
All right.
Before Fusaka, we were living in the Denkun Pectra era of Ethereum. Those are just the names of the most recent upgrades, okay? Before Fusaka, that went live yesterday. The names are fun. They do a great job with the names. So,
although Litecoin still wins with Mimblewimble.
Mimblewimble is wonderful. So pre-Fusaka, so in the Denkun Pectra era, the day before yesterday, when that upgrade first went live, Ethereum was only burning from layer 2s about 11 Ethereum a day with Denkun. And then the Pectra upgrade came. That just made it better, right? So then Ethereum was only burning 3.3 Ethereum per day. So over a 150-day period, Ethereum was burning somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000 ETH. That's not a whole lot, right? Particularly when you consider that the annual issuance, the annual supply of Ethereum is 620,000 Ethereum a year, okay? So now all of that L2 activity, which is 85% of the activity on Ethereum, is now really going to be contributing to burning. To date, there was a really tiny, itsy bitsy, basically zero Ethereum fee that layer 2s paid in something that is called blobs. And blobs were just an area for data to be stored during rollups. That is a technical term to say that it was a place where data was stored in a really, really cheap way to make Ethereum fast on layer 2s. Okay, layer 2s are like your polygons, your optimisms, your arbitrums. Okay, that's all that technical jargon means. Fast, easy, boom, cool. Now, this is where the exciting math comes, which is how much Ethereum will be burned. If you back test it, which we did, I did. If you back test it, then the burn would have been about, oh, hang on a second. Where did I write it? Oh, did I not write it? Shame on me. So anyway, no, here it is. So it'd be somewhere between 200,000 to 400,000 Ethereum a year. Now, the current burn across all of Ethereum, so including mainnet and the layer 2s, is already 350,000 Ethereum a year, approximately. This means that last year, there was about 300,000 Ethereum that was issued total, right? Because 650,000 ETH was issued, about 350,000 was burned, therefore about 300,000 ish or so Ethereum was issued. So Ethereum was inflationary, okay? Now, with this Fusaka burn, add on 200,000 to 300,000 additional Ethereum burned on top of that, and you now have Ethereum that is either ever so slightly itsy bitsy inflationary or ever so slightly deflationary. And even though it is ever so slightly, that is at current L2 activity in a bear market, whatever you want to say. And L2 activity is only increasing, which is really, really exciting. So, if L2 activity, and this is where we got in the live before I started to play around with the fun math, I'm like, well, what if L2 activity doubles and triples and quadruples and quintuples and whatever the 6 is, I forget it. But then goes upwards, like, what is that math? So, but we're already at the point now where with current layer 2 activity, Ethereum is now no longer inflationary, basically. And that's dope because now Ethereum is harder than Bitcoin. Pretty cool.
Damn.
Pretty cool.
It's I vividly remember when the EIP, which now I can't remember the number, that introduced the burning in general, and how then, depending on traffic, we were flipping, inflationary, deflationary, whatever. I would count. This is an interesting one because I actually don't know exactly how I feel about it, considering that, I think like a little bit of issuance, surplus, that is, like a small amount of inflation measured on ETH is fine considering how utilitarian it is.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, it's fine for sure.
Yeah.
Because of how heavily it's used. But,
from an investment standpoint, this changes the optics a bit, especially for, larger custodians and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really good from an investment standpoint. So now you have natural demand utility for Ethereum, which is only going upwards because thanks institutions for building on Ethereum layer 2s. So now you're going to have like that level of building that hasn't really come on the layer 2s yet. It's already, we've been talking about it being built for a couple of years, right? And this stuff takes time. But we're going to have this large influx of institutions building on Ethereum. I would say give it an additional year, and then I bet you start to see something really meaningfully get released from, I don't know, like your BlackRock or something, right? Your MasterCards, your what have you. Although I think MasterCard's building on Stellar, right? MasterCard's
they work with everybody.
They do work with everybody. But anyway, you're going to see a lot of these institutions actually really kind of putting stuff on Ethereum layer 2s, and that's just going to increase that burn. And so you're going to get to the point where Ethereum is going to become one of the hardest assets in all of crypto, if not the hardest asset, simply because it will be deflationary. Now, granted, right now it's deflationary. It'll become deflationary by 0.2%, right? But still, the fact that it's deflationary and Bitcoin isn't, you can argue that Bitcoin is because people lose Bitcoin.
I was going to say, I would argue that it is for sure.
You can say that because people lose Bitcoin. Yeah, spiritually Bitcoin. At the same time, so too is every crypto in that argument, right? People lose a crypto all the time, but more people lose Bitcoin.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think you start to lose me there when it's like, push button, mint a quadrillion of them. You know what I mean?
True. That is true. But I'm just saying, in the instance of simply talking about the loss of coins, you know, like everybody loses coins. But you're right. Like almost all these altcoins, people can just click a button, or like enough governance can vote, consensus can vote, just be like, and print a million. I mean, hell, just look at Crow.
Yeah, that was going to be my go-to example.
Yeah, that's the example there, where they were just like, hey, we're going to burn all these tokens. Everyone's like, yeah. And then like 6 months went by and they're like, we're going to re-release all these tokens. Everyone, what? Yeah, so Ethereum's becoming fucking awesome, and I'm so glad I turned on my daily purchase of Ethereum like a couple months ago, because now with this coming through, which somehow missed my radar screen completely, one of my buddies texted me about it, and I was like, huh? And this is awesome. This is so cool.
It's a very technically heavy upgrade. These things usually are not. I mean, it can be hard to get through it. You start to read anything about it, and this is like the equivalent of trying to read, you know, a medical journal as a layperson and understand a breakthrough in something.
Yeah. Well, guess what? What is Fusaka? It makes Ethereum faster, and also it makes it harder.
Better.
There you go. Faster.
Stronger.
Better, faster, stronger. Higher burn, so there's less supply. More burn as utilization of Ethereum goes up. Ethereum has faster throughput and cheaper fees. Congratulations, everybody on Twitter. That's how you describe it to people, folks on Twitter. That's it. And then you can go, and if you would like to learn more, I will make another post for you. Bada boom, bada bing. That's how you talk to normal people.
Well, people who have not made this their whole personality yet.
Normal people.
So, okay.
So that's what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to go over Fusaka because I was running that math this morning as well as I was running around all the other things, and I was like, damn, this is sick.
No, it's a fun little rabbit hole to have watched you fall down in real time.
Yes, it is cool and good. Other than that, do you want to switch topics to now we talked about ETH? You want to talk about Bitcoin and Aave?
Let's do it. So, okay. in the same vein, you can get a lot more technical about exactly how something like Babylon enables native Bitcoin staking. And so I'll try to break it down in a similar way to how Will just talked about Fusaka. So Babylon utilizes trustless vaults to allow people to earn yield on their Bitcoin through contracts. This is not like Bitcoin being a proof of work blockchain, not proof of stake. There is no inherently integrated smart contract wherein you stake to secure a network and then earn a yield on it that way. That's not how it works. So there's a couple pieces that get used to create these trustless vaults, and it's kind of interesting. It's super interesting if you're a dork. Basically what happens is that a contract that exists that you get to interact with allows you to time lock your Bitcoin in this contract in return for yield. And the only person who can undo that is you. So it's like there's two like methods of expiration for these contracts. One being that a signature that you get permission to. Wow, this is actually really hard to try to say without any jargon.
You're doing great.
No, I'm not.
You're doing wonderful.
We need to understand UTXOs and EOTSs. And so let's break those down first. And I'm going to pull up a little screen share here just to help us because I prepared a few notes about it. So, Will, stall.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime doll. I like to sing about the moon and the June and the spring. I like to sing about the sky so blue and things so true. And oh no. Oh, the next line. I always fumble it right there.
I'm just going to let you keep going. Okay. Here, actually, Kraken has a pretty cool little shout out, Kraken. Check this out. So let's start with UTXOs.
I have to look that up later. Anyway, I'm listening.
All right. And we can zoom in a little bit here. Okay, so unspent transaction output, unspent, and then TX transaction O output. So this is basically just a thing that Bitcoin uses to keep track of the changes in balances as Bitcoin moves between wallets. This is kind of the methodology that's used that enables us to be able to say that like Bitcoin does not exist in more than one place.
Also, Alex, quick question. Where did you go to find this page that you have right here?
Oh, right. Great question. This is kraken.com/learn. And then you can just search UTXO.
Yep. Not a sponsor, by the way, but hey, nope, I would take it.
Not yet, Kraken. All right, Evan, I see you down here. Hurry up. So let me pull up one more that we can toggle back and forth in between. Actually, Kraken, let's see if does Kraken have another one for EOTS. EOTS. No, not that.
Meanwhile, I will read out what Bearded said. A summary of
you.
UTXOs are the discrete chunks of cryptocurrency that remain available for spending after transactions, forming the basis of the Bitcoin transaction and ledger model.
Thank you, Chief Carrot Officer. Okay, here we go. So actually, we'll just look at it straight from Babylon itself, who you may recognize as the partner that enables these vaults to be utilized on Aave. Okay, if you want to get a little bit deeper into this, this is a little bit more technical, but this is the documentation center on Babylon itself. So EOTS, extractable one-time signature. I'm trying to compare this to something else that we've talked about, but the idea here is that the authority to sign something is created, shown to nobody, and then given to you when the time is right, kind of a thing. So you would, commit to lock your Bitcoin in this time lock in this contract, and then an EOTS is generated, which allows you to unlock it. What's kind of interesting is that there's a safety mechanism in here. So without getting too far into the weeds, if you've ever heard the term slashing, that's basically what networks can do to punish validators who are misbehaving, who are trying to screw with the natural order of things or, exploit stuff, whatever, behaving poorly with the chain. An EOTS kind of actually acts as a method to slash on Bitcoin. Because if the system is abused, this EOTS becomes exposed to anybody, and anyone can authorize the burn of this Bitcoin to slash the validator who's misbehaving. So it's kind of neat. It creates this way where effectively you can use Bitcoin natively with no wrapping, with no weird third-party custodian needed at all, and you can create an instance wherein it kind of behaves like proof of stake without changing anything about the Bitcoin structure. It's pretty sweet.
And for those of you who may have never wrapped anything, first of all, wrapping is taking an asset that is not from one blockchain ecosystem. So wrapping Ethereum to put it in a place where Ethereum is not supposed to, or wrapping Bitcoin and putting it on Solana, or wrapping Bitcoin and putting it on Ethereum, because Bitcoin sits on the Bitcoin blockchain. It does not sit natively on the Ethereum blockchain nor on the Solana blockchain. So it needs to be given a life raft, if you will, to be able to navigate and chill and sail those waters, if you will, right? That is the process of wrapping. And it requires a step or two, okay? And now you don't need to do that. So you have Bitcoin just sitting natively in your hardware wallet, or maybe it's on your Coinbase or Kraken, whatever you're doing with it, right? And now you just kind of go and do okay, I'm going to connect my wallet, and now I'm just going to do this thing, and here it is. Cool, awesome, great. There's no wrapping process involved. So the extra barrier to entry in terms of new steps to do, as well as potential new risk and having to trust ways to wrap that Bitcoin, because this is all software, and all software has some bugs and stuff, potentially, particularly if it's new and it's untested. It hasn't stood the test of time. That risk goes down, that barrier to entry goes down, and you also are able to do this on a pretty damn trusted platform, Aave, which is the largest DeFi protocol in all of crypto. And it's also been around since 2019?
That's a good question for our chief fact check officer.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
It's been around a minute.
It's been around for a while.
I agree with Evan in the comments over here saying that UTXOs are a great way to kind of start to get Bitcoin. It's a really key piece of how Bitcoin works. And so just to wrap up this little explanation there, the best way to think about it would probably be with like a visualization. So if Will has $100 and he sends me 50, and then he goes to try to send more, the UTXO, the unspent transaction output for him would be the remaining $50 that he has available to send. So there's a scan that happens in the pre-stages of authorizing a transaction on Bitcoin, which basically confirms that you actually do have enough to send what you are trying to send. So that's the best way to describe it.
Yep. Now, Alex, I'd like to shift topics a little bit, but still on the topic of Bitcoin, but shifting a little bit to MicroStrategy, and I'd like to get your opinion on this news headline. Because when I see this, my brain immediately goes to one thing, but I'd be curious to see what your brain would. So Strategy has moved $1 billion in Bitcoin to Fidelity. MicroStrategy sent 11,642 Bitcoin worth $1 billion to Fidelity in the past day. They have now transferred 117,351 Bitcoin worth $16.5 billion in total. Now, most people start to see those kinds of moves and go like, okay, MicroStrategy is positioning itself for some kind of a move. So they have transitioned from Coinbase custody to Fidelity. But what's your initial take on that? I'm curious.
I don't immediately have a take, I guess. I guess I would assume that there was some sort of deal done because otherwise, why?
Yeah, because like if you wanted to sell, you'd keep it at Coinbase because that's where the OTC desk is. That's your over-the-counter desk where you would then sell Coinbase.
Fidelity's got to be able to facilitate OTC.
I would imagine, but Coinbase is the biggest OTC desk in the world. So like it wouldn't make sense from a volume standpoint.
I don't know. The only thing, like if I try to come up with like, okay, what could be the nefarious reason, it would be trying to like obfuscate the move of the Bitcoin somehow by like parking it with Fidelity and then letting stuff happen off chain to facilitate sales just because they know the optics would be awful. But I don't know. That's kind of a puzzling one.
Yeah, I'll do a little bit of digging to see what I could see. But, you know, like I see some comments here, like unless it's a way to lend it to Fidelity and maybe they're making some profit. Yeah, maybe they're giving it to Fidelity and then Fidelity is putting it on Aave.
Yeah, but that feels like...
I mean, it could just be diversifying custody because, I mean, they've put...
That could be, yeah.
16.5 billion.
Yeah.
There in total over on Fidelity. So it's not like this is a recent thing. They've clearly been doing this for a little bit. It's just that we're all watching those moves a little bit more shadily right now with the fears that Strategy would have to sell Bitcoin at some point.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, man. I still can't wrap my head around how that's like looked at as being awful. Like, can we not look more than like 18 seconds in the future? They have too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's one of those things. They make me nervous in general.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I threw it into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT said, "Hey, this is probably, especially with the amount diversifying custody, operational flexibility, and stealth liquidity options." So, once Bitcoin is in Fidelity's omnibus custody, a pooled custody structure, the holder Strategy could theoretically sell or transfer Bitcoin internally, off-chain or over-the-counter routes without triggering on-chain movements. I mean, that's true for any over-the-counter desk. Market optics and institutional normalization of Bitcoin custody because Fidelity is seen as a more traditional trusted custodian. It's not necessarily a sell, but it could be. So, I mean, no direct answer, but there's some additional answers for you. Magic on YouTube says they should sell and leave. I mean, I wouldn't be entirely opposed to like buying $30,000, $20,000 Bitcoin again.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
I have like one very, very distinct familial success story with that. I remember a while ago talking to my aunt and uncle about diversification of portfolio with a couple things like Bitcoin and ETH. And it turns out that, so, you know, along with my help, they made some small buys just to kind of figure out how it all works. Ended up buying like the absolute bottom. And I completely forgot about it. And I was just talking to my mom the other day about they were like, you know what, we just kind of want to sell it and consolidate. You know, we don't have the time to track all this kind of stuff and whatever. And they're a little older, and the average buys on Bitcoin for them are $18,000.
Oh, nice.
It was like, even here where we're at, that's killing it. And then like everything was like that. It was like whatever everything else did when Bitcoin was 18,000 most recently, which
nice.
that wasn't like the absolute.
No, it wasn't. But damn close. Yeah, no, it's compared to where we are now at 92,000. They did okay. They did okay.
Chris says, when do you guys sleep? For about 5 hours in the middle of every night.
I slept for 7 hours.
I did not.
Yeah, no, you got to get better with that, man.
I am getting better. It's just still bad.
Yeah, well, hey, better is something, right?
It was like 12:30 to actually no, it was 6 hours.
You know what? This is a fun conversation. Sorry, do you have another crypto topic to talk about? I do unfortunately have to leave in a little bit, so maybe we stay on topic. I was going to change topics to something. Oh my God, Evan's here. Perfect.
You made it.
You made it, buddy.
Hey, what's going on, you guys?
Hi, man. It's nice to hear your voice.
It's so nice to be here with you.
Hey, and I know yesterday you were like, I feel like I'm starting to look older. Your skin looks great. Look at that forehead. Look at how like wrinkle-free that forehead is.
I do have a wrinkle-free forehead. Thank God for that. I've requested over on TikTok. I'll be there shortly. Hello to everybody watching. Hello to everybody in podcast land. I think the strategy thing, just to not to dwell on it, I wonder, give you a little mute here. Oh, thank you. I wonder if they're OTCing it or if they're like diversifying into the Fidelity Trust.
That's what
whatever their product is called for ETF.
I mean, honestly, it could be both. I mean, think about it, right? It's we need to manage our risk. Like, what if something bad happened at Coinbase, right? We need to manage our custodial risk, and also like we should just do that from like a good risk management standpoint, right? So Coinbase, Fidelity, I'm sure there's some other custody as well. They should split it up across multiple custodians. That just makes sense. Also, at the same time, though, if you were forced to sell a lot of Bitcoin, you need access to as many different OTC desks as possible in order to get access to as much liquidity as possible. So this could be a move where they see, hey, this is a good risk management move for reasons of continuing to hold Bitcoin, and if we do, in fact, one day need to sell.
Yeah, the CEO said in a recent statement that they've got a $1.4 billion pile of cash that can fund 2 years of dividends and interest without requiring they touch their like $59 billion Bitcoin and actually sell it. But he hinted they might lend some coins in the future. So, you know, if you're Fidelity and you're looking to expand your holdings to make the ETF for whatever reason more attractive to consumers, and you want to make a deal with somebody, Strategy's got the deepest pockets around and needs to make a deal right now.
Yeah, they'll do everything they possibly can in order to kind of keep that thing afloat, keep their stock afloat, and not have to sell any of their Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. It's precarious.
We'll see what happens on January 15th. One Morgan Stanley maybe decides to kick them out of their index, forcing $3 to $8 billion worth of Strategy stock to be sold almost immediately.
Love that
happens
song.
on January 15th, by the way. Love that song.
I hate that song.
I know, right? It's totally not.
Yeah.
It's totally the dolphins cry to that.
Yeah, the Dolphins Cry. That sounds like your album, Will Watson, The Dolphins Cry.
The Dolphins Cry. Well, gentlemen, I am unfortunately being pulled into the world of corporate, and now that Evan is here, I feel like it is my time to step out and handle some things that are currently on fire.
That sounds dangerous.
I mean, it certainly is to my stress levels. Just remember, guys, while I'm gone, secure like a couple more partnerships, and then I can just leave this job.
Yeah, you're gonna do great.
Thanks,
do my
guys.
best.
Okay.
Ladies
Bye,
and gentlemen, he's
guys.
your friend and mine, Mr. William Watson.
See you next week.
See you, brother. Alex, I'm back. I actually wondered if we could take a brief journey backwards to something you were talking about earlier, which is UTXOs. This is such a good topic. I mentioned in the comments it's kind of a level 2 thing. but I wanted to give just a little more technical detail and a good analogy that might help to make it a little simpler, because it does, as you say, really help folks understand the elegance of the design of Bitcoin. So, con permiso.
Love it.
Got it. Great. Alex and Will talked about how every transaction has these unspent transaction outputs. And I have a confession to make, which is that I have lied to you. Not that I've lied to you necessarily with the intention of deceiving you, but just to simplify things for you. You have heard all of us say at different times that Bitcoin, blockchain, all this stuff that makes cryptocurrency work, it's just a ledger. The famous analogy Alex has is it's like a magic notebook. And I often say, when I send someone Bitcoin, I am not physically transferring an asset because Bitcoin doesn't physically exist. What actually happens is that I am giving the ledger, like the computer code that maintains the ledger on one of the Bitcoin nodes, permission to reassign my balance to someone else. So I send Alex one Bitcoin. It checks to see, do I have enough Bitcoin to send? If yes, that it crosses out a Bitcoin on my balance and writes it under Alex's name. But that's not exactly right. What actually happens is that every Bitcoin transaction is really made up not of like one Bitcoin. It's made up of many little pieces, these unspent transaction outputs. So each of them has a unique, specific value, is assigned to your public address, and makes up together these balances that we see as ours on the Bitcoin blockchain. So it's not like Evan has 10 Bitcoin, Evan sends Alex 1 Bitcoin. It's more like Evan has 10 Bitcoin. He has 84 tickets that accumulate a total value of 10 Bitcoin. And when I want to send Alex 1 Bitcoin, it uses these tickets, and it uses them exactly. So if I don't have tickets that add up perfectly to 10 Bitcoin, then it takes an extra one and overspends, and then it sends me some change back, so that essentially each person is able to not only like get what they're entitled to, but that the blockchain has a record that makes it easier for a computer to track in the future each person's unique activity. You might think of this like I don't know, I'm struggling for an analogy for this, and I definitely know that this is a whiteboard video that will need to be made. But you might think of this as like a ticket you get at a carnival. You know, if you spend tickets at your ride, they collect your tickets, they destroy them, they mark them as spent. And if you had a ticket that said 5, you know, it was worth 5, but you only needed 4, then they destroy that 5 ticket. They create a brand new ticket for the recipient, and then a change ticket for you that they give you back. So in summary, Bitcoin is not, in fact, a magic notebook that's just a ledger of balances. There's no line that says Evan has 5 Bitcoin. I wish there was a line that said that. Instead, what it says is, like, these 14 outputs belong to Evan. Their total value is equal to 5 Bitcoin. So your balance is the sum of all UTXOs you control. I hope that's as clear as mud. I really will make a whiteboard video about it later, but it is one of the things that, one, makes Bitcoin pretty elegant because everything is really trackable at a granular level. And the other thing that's cool is now you can use these UTXOs to do other stuff. Although it does make tracking things on the blockchain scanner hard. It's why if you look up the Bitcoin Explorer and you see your transaction is not as simple as you initially thought, there's all these other little microtransactions. That's why. Because it's putting together your UTXOs and sending you back UTXOs. Helpful?
Clear as mud.
Clear as mud. That's what we aim for on this show. I hadn't heard you do it yet, so let me very quickly before we pivot say a special thank you again for another awesome week of shows to the sponsors that make this show possible. I'm talking about Arculus. I'm talking about Jito. I'm talking about Unlock Protocol. Can't wait to see you guys Monday. Talking about The White Whale and, of course, Polygon. Give it up for all the sponsors. If you want to learn more about them, why we choose to work with them, how you can work with us, then the place you need to go is RUMS, RUMSHQ.com. Fidelity.com. We've got a whole page on the website that talks all about them, and even has a little clickable button so that, for example, you can go over to Polygon's merch order form on their Pol token website if you want to make some UGC. It'll lead you to Unlock Protocols newsletter if you want to learn more about them. It'll take you to Arculus's website where you can use the code RUMS10 to get 10% off your purchase. So much good stuff happening, and hopefully even more partnership announcements coming soon. Cosmic says, I'm surprised Paul is so inexpensive with all the Poly market news. First of all, good to see you, dude. Second of all, what a great way to phrase that. Inexpensive.
I know.
Does it surprise you, Alex?
Get away with words.
Yeah.
Not really.
Say more.
Okay. So there's a lot going on that kind of hurts. I mean, first of all, look at just where we are. It's a rough time. It's a rough time out there.
It is rough.
Lots of stuff is comparatively inexpensive.
You might even say, Alex, we are putting from the rough.
Apparently.
The rough.
I still don't really know what that means, but I'll take it. Okay, so markets are weird. A lot of stuff is kind of languishing. You have like your few, known leaders kind of driving what we look as being the gains market wide. And then you have the anomalies, the things that are kind of like the outliers that, go up or crash specifically for something related to whatever it is. And Polygon kind of just has like a desire to fix everything. I mean, that's what everyone is working on. That's why we're working with them. But in general, you have a bunch of narratives that are kind of unsexy that just make it really hard to drive like rampant speculation because they're more, infrastructure layer type stuff. It's more like big picture, doesn't really sound as interesting. We've heard it before, that kind of a thing. And even though like adoption and usage there is growing, it just doesn't really seem, the vibe is, in a market where the vibe is often the most important thing, that I don't know. It doesn't really surprise me to see like any crypto, frankly, languishing or failing to, I mean, at the very least, set an all-time high or anything like that, right? So I don't know. No. Plus, I think just other stuff is kind of stealing the thunder right now. The especially in the like broader crypto Twitter narrative right now, I think the L2 thing is kind of called into question a little bit. How necessary is it? How much more emphasis and money and resources need to go into building and running and maintaining L2s? Also, you just have, with Polygon specifically, probably the reason that Sandeep has brought it up is still kind of the barriers now with the two recognized tickers.
Okay.
He wouldn't have brought that up if that was not something that was, on his mind as far as causing a problem. So no, they're in a tricky position, and really the only answer is, to be very honest, what they're doing, which is, okay, stop trying to think about what we can get done by next week and start thinking about what we need to do to start, shoring up all of the foundations here and, building for the long term. And you got to build a brand.
Got to build a brand. And I will say Polygon's brand, some of these crypto solutions brands, it's not that Polygon doesn't have a good brand, but when your brand where you are used is like, digital payments, not necessarily Polygon, Pol token, number go up. Like Polygon is relying on us, by which I mean, crypto native speculators with 2 O's to pump their token price. It's probably an appropriately valued company, or maybe slightly undervalued. I don't know. I'd have to really look at all the numbers. But everybody that they're relying on for usage, all the payments and stable coins, for example, all the poly market betting, those people, they don't necessarily need a ton of the Pol token. Pol is a used token, but what makes the price of it and many cryptocurrency tokens go up is not, in fact, everybody is using this token, the utility. It is people are speculating. Speculation is absolutely, unequivocally the number one driver of pricing crypto. And that's why it's so hard to succeed as an investor who's like, you know what? Bitcoin's great, but I'm just going to pick a bunch of altcoins and hope they 10x. Because all of that is about speculation. You know, I got into a kerfluffle yesterday with a live creator after our show as I was just, tidying up my house before bed. I like to watch other people's TikTok lives, see what's going on. And he was saying, Evan, it's so irresponsible of you to tell people, especially people who don't have a lot of money, to buy Bitcoin because they're never going to get rich that way. And I was like, brother.
That's an insane thing to say.
It was wild work. It was diabolical, as the kids say. I was like, okay. I made a whole video about it yesterday because I just couldn't get it out of my head. I thought, first of all, just anecdotally, you can look this up. It is a fact that most people who try to buy and sell, who try to trade, who invest in startups lose money. One, because most startups fail. And I say that because most crypto companies are startups. They're pre-product companies. The only thing they have to sell you is a token and a dream. And so every dollar you choose not to spend on Bitcoin, this thing which will go up in value over time because it's provably scarce, it's got a growing network, yada, yada, is possibly being spent on a company that probably, most likely, statistically, won't exist next year, tomorrow, whenever, in the future. And even if it does exist, how are you going to know when to sell it? Are you going to perfectly time the bottom, the best time to buy? Are you going to perfectly time the top? And if you do, is Bitcoin not going to be worth more than? Are you going to feel ripped off when you're 2x on ETH now that Bitcoin is $250,000? Doesn't go as far when you want to sell your ETH and put the value in a store of value like Bitcoin or gold. I mean, it just it makes no sense. It makes no sense to me.
This is like indicative of the massive disservice that's been done to people using crypto as the vessel for this disservice, which is, you see the comment, okay, don't buy Bitcoin if you want to get rich. What does that mean? Like, let's break down the idea of getting rich.
Right.
We're using the same phrase, but we are all saying multiple different things, because some people who say don't buy Bitcoin to get rich are exclusively talking about the fact that they don't think it's going to 100x. Fair. I would, okay, in what time frame are we operating? There's so many questions that have to be answered before we can even know that we're talking about the same thing, that it's just such a silly thing to say, because what's your alternative? Okay, so let's pick an altcoin that does have the potential to 10x, which, like you just laid out, is lots of them have the potential to do it if speculation goes in that direction. Of course, lots of things have to line up for that to happen, but I would not say that that's a methodology for getting rich. I would say that's called gambling, and it's taking a chance, and you are either going to succeed or you're going to lose. And think about how confidently anyone that you talk to about investing would tell you to park a little bit of money in the S&P 500 and do that regularly and don't touch it for a long time. No one thinks that they're going to buy the S&P 500 in an index fund and wake up tomorrow with a 10x. That's silly.
Yeah.
So why is it that this is the mentality shift that has to happen in order to accept that something like Bitcoin could behave the way that it was intended to behave? Will made a great point the other day. The reason that gold is flying and Bitcoin is dumping is because it's still not looked at widely as a store of value. It's still looked at as a speculative asset. And that's just indicative of its age. It's young, comparatively, certainly. By crypto standards, it's ancient. But by literally everything else, it's a little baby. So I think you have to first reject this idea that you're going to show up with a few bucks and get rich. And that's why, I mean, how much crypto content is, millionaires are going to be printed from this? No, they're fucking not. Yeah, sure, maybe if you can afford to invest $750,000, maybe you'll become a millionaire from this thing. But the idea needs to die that you can park a few bucks and it's going to 1000x. That's only possible with the shittiest of shitcoins. And the odds that it's going to go that way are about 1 in 100 trillion. So you have almost no shot, unless, of course, you are a fortunate insider who is manipulating markets and swindling people, in which case you're not getting rich because you made a good investment. You're just stealing, which is, I guess, another quick get-rich-quick scheme. Just steal it. There you go. So
why didn't I think of that, Alex?
I don't know. I just reject the entire idea. It really speaks to the fact that we're constantly thinking about all of this stuff wrong. Crypto is a shitty investment in general. Altcoins are bad long-term investments. They shouldn't be looked at that way. We say it. How many times have we said it? You're venture investing, which is that's a style, But you can't treat it the same way. No venture capitalist buys a bunch of startups and then like closes the account and checks it again in 10 years. They would all be zero.
It would all be zero, or every single one of them would be rich.
And you would never put all of your eggs in one basket in a venture style. Like, look up any big crypto VC firm and how many things they've touched. They go into everything. It's a scattershot methodology because you have to. Otherwise, the odds are definitely against you heavily. So I don't know. It's hard to like. It's just a weird conversation.
It is. You can beat Bitcoin, totally possible, but you've either got to be a genius, lucky, or if you think you can beat Bitcoin, mostly you're a fool, statistically speaking. Bearded says, Evan, can I borrow $750,000 real quick? I heard from Alex I can get rich.
Correct.
That's one of the reasons that I think like Cheryl's content is so cool and honest, is because she did genuinely, become a millionaire from doing this, but she started with a lot. Yeah. And she made a great investment and she treated it properly and had the discipline to, handle it accordingly. And there you go. But like, she's not out here saying, I put $1,000 into Harry Potter Obama Sonic Inu and now I'm a millionaire. You know what I mean? Like that kind of narrative needs to go the way of the dodo. And it's still 100%. Everywhere. Every fucking crappy token shill video starts off with millionaires will be printed from this, insinuating that you can just become a millionaire overnight with almost no startup capital, which is stupid, insane, and irresponsible.
Alex is referencing Cheryl on TikTok. Her profile is Simple Crypto Advice. And I duetted one of her videos the other day. She's just getting started on the app. I really think everybody, if you want to learn crypto, you want to support telling a better story, give this woman a follow. She does a really simple video where she posts some screenshots. Could they be fake? Absolutely. But look at this. The exact amounts from this screenshot wallet. $1.2 million in Bitcoin, all-time P&L 850,000. She's up over 98%. And she's been buying it along the way. This is the classic example of time in the market beats timing the market. If you expect to get rich overnight, no. But if you want a certainty that over time your dollars will be worth more, I just can't think of anything better than Bitcoin.
Can you type her handle in the chat?
Yeah, I would be glad to. One more time, I'll say it out loud for the people in podcast land. It's Simple Crypto Advice on TikTok. And in fact, I'll do my best here to put the TikTok link. How about that? We're living in the 21st century now. There it goes. Here it comes for everybody on TikTok. And Alex, I actually have another question for you while I do it. I think you'd be perfect for this one. I'm sorry, I can't quite read the Arabic in your name, but a new friend whose name I don't recognize, thank you for this question, asks, does percentage on DeFi mean that I will get exactly the percentage they say? We're talking about yield here, 12% APY. They say like 45% on USDC on Katana. Can you clarify, when we see 45% APY on Katana, should we expect that if we park our money there 1 year, don't look at it, we'll get exactly that every single time? What factors go into that? Help me understand, Alex.
Yeah, there's a lot there. So first of all, just to make it clear, you have to look at like what's the breakdown of that APY, what all goes into that yield, because it's not all like paid to you in dollars, especially with those really juiced ones on something like Katana in its infancy as a protocol. Often that's a better way to distribute their tokens. If you want to talk about like a way to distribute tokens for something that you have a token for that you don't want to just like crater into oblivion after you airdrop it to a bunch of people who don't give a shit about you, this is one way. However, you can see if you usually those APYs have a tooltip next to it and you can hover and it'll tell you like the breakdown. In that case, the rate was still great, but it was 10% USDC temporarily, 35% in CAT. And that's often the case. Will's talked about Maple Finance. They do a split APY with their token and with whatever the thing is that you're supplying as collateral. You have to look at every single one of them on a case-by-case basis. It is not guaranteed. These things are variable. They do fluctuate. it depends on the ratio between the supply side and the demand side. So if you take something like Morpho or Aave or anything else that is a borrowing and lending protocol wherein you can bring one of your assets and earn yield on it as you supply it as collateral, and then other people are taking out loans. If it's heavily weighted on one side wherein more people are supplying but no one is really borrowing, that APY is going to go down. And then the inverse is also true. If more people are borrowing and there's enough supply, that APY is going to go way up. And that's what causes the variability, is this, back and forth between the ratio of borrowing to supply. And they are all, and then of course you get into more unique situations when we're talking about like providing liquidity. And then of course you have to talk about like, okay, well, how many buyers and how many sellers are there? Who's trading? Which direction are they trading? Are more people selling than buying, or is the inverse true? And then what's your range? So there's a lot there, but the short answer is no, it's not guaranteed. And no, it is not all going to be in the one asset. Sometimes it's split up. I've even seen them in more than two assets. But all of that is disclosed. And if it's not disclosed, don't fucking put your money there. Leave.
That's not DeFi.
No, that's not DeFi. That's a shady bank stealing from you.
Yeah, and the other thing is these tokens can change in price over time. If you're getting 12% as it's measured in USDC, but they're paying you out in a token that may or may not go up and down in value, it might be worth 12%. And that's a gamble that some people are taking on Maple Finance. Like, I think people are happy to park their tokens there because they feel there's an upside opportunity. Based on Maple tokens worth right now, you might only be getting 12%. But if you think Maple tokens or Katana tokens or whatever tokens you earn will be worth more in the future, then, it could be the move. But again, you could just buy Bitcoin. I don't know. I saw the other day, ETH was down under 2,800, and I was like, man, seems like a good time for me to pull some USDC and buy a bunch of ETH. But I was like, what if this is not the bottom? What if we go lower? And then it hit 3,200, and I said, oh, Evan, you could have done it. You could have been rich.
Should have just bought a little.
Should have just bought a little. That's right. That's right. That's why you don't trade the whole bag.
When we talk about getting rich, like the first thing that I think of is just coming up with a strategy to close the gap. And by gap, I mean the rate at which your dollar is losing value every year, or whatever your local fiat currency is. If it's the euro, if it's the pound, if it's the lira, if it's the yen, I don't care, whatever. None of them are perfect. They all have problems, and they're all losing purchasing power. The difference is, how fast are they losing it in comparison with other things? And that's where you start to, put money to work. This is what I'm describing is the entire concept of investing in anything. Why do people buy the S&P? Because historically, for a very long time, it averages out to, 10%? 7 to 10% per year.
I think so. They advertise 10%. I've heard that's, advertising.
I think the reality average is closer to 7. But I'm sure Bearded will fact check us. So at the end of the day, like I said, no one's doing that to just get rich. They're doing it to close the gap, because your money is bleeding value more than that every single year. And if you just keep it in cash, you're losing. And if you don't, put it to work hard enough, then you're losing, which is why all of us pretty much just stay losing all the time. Because actually closing that gap means you need to be making about 25% on your money on an annual basis. Otherwise, you're not even breaking even, which is horrifying. And that's also that's why DeFi.
That's why DeFi. That could be your t-shirt, Alex.
That's why DeFi. What?
It's
all horrifying, and that's why DeFi.
Fact check yourself, brother. Listen, man, it's not all horrifying. It's a wild and wonderful world of cryptocurrency. And hey, if it is horrifying to you, then the good news is you've got friends along the way. Don't forget, today is Thursday, which means that we will be running a brief after show in Circle. I'm going to be there once we wind the show at bottom of the hour. It'll probably take me 10 minutes to get a little description over to Tori, fill up my coffee again, and then you can join us on stage in a private room that you can only access through the Rise Up community. I'm talking about community.rumshq.com. We do this almost every Thursday as regularly as possible because, it's risky for us to take a bunch of guests on TikTok or anywhere else, but we know a lot of you. We love a lot of you, and we really want you to get to hang out with us and actually ask us your question. Isn't it so great, Alex, when you get to talk to somebody and hear specifically what they meant by that question they asked in 140 characters or less on the internet,
Oh, yeah.
So, if you want to hang out with us a little bit, you want to ask us a crypto question, totally free, no strings attached, then check it out, community.rumshq.com. The link is over there with so much more. What you checking out in the comments, my brother?
I was just looking for questions. If you have any that we didn't get a chance to get to, or you weren't fully satisfied with the answer to, please feel free to ask them again. Like Evan said, it is a challenge to fit questions into the tiny little comments on something like TikTok, but walk us there. We'll get there.
I see Vintage Deals here. Great to see you, brother. Thanks for being here this morning. I'm thinking about rolling it all into something that pays a high stake, and maybe I missed a comment above, but a lot of people, especially when the market is down, feel like if I'm holding this or that asset, especially if it's like a long-term part of their portfolio, maybe a Bitcoin, maybe an ETH, a Sol, XRP, whatever, that they want to earn some yield on it. The things to think about, of course, for people who are new to that are, is there some kind of lockup period? What historically, like we just got done talking about, has the APY been like, and where does it come from? Do you think it's sustainable? And if you're struggling through how to parse that out for yourself, Vintage Deals, I know you can probably look back and forth through a lot of stuff. You're a savvy user, but if you have questions about that, that really is a great application of community. Somebody will come in and say, hey, I looked this up on DeFi Llama. Looks like the yields have been same for 5 years. Looks like TVL is growing, whatever. You know what I mean? We can help you build conviction around actual information that's verifiable and not just, I don't know. I saw this video that the Bank of Japan is going to make it happen someday. And when they do, it'll pump. I almost wore my XRP shirt to the stream today just for fun. And I decided that we have another creator on TikTok called Blockchain Bully who, after our morning show yesterday, said, hey, he reopened an invitation that he extended to us to come discuss. Initially, it was XRP versus Bitcoin, like a debate, but he clarified. He said, no, I don't want to have a debate. I just want a friendly discussion where we can explore like why people think it's valuable, why maybe you don't, whatever. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if I showed up to that conversation wearing my XRP to the moon t-shirt? I think I'm going to do that.
I just have a lot of questions.
Yes, like why? So let us know, Vintage Deals, if you are thinking about any particular asset or any particular yield farm. Do you want to manage it actively? Do you want to set it and forget it? Let us know and we'll help you out. Go ahead, man.
Just a quick clarification, because I see a couple comments about staking in California specifically. So staking in California is not like inherently illegal, but centralized exchanges just don't offer it as a service because of the regulatory gray area. However, you are not at all, you don't need to VPN or anything like that. You're not in any way, shape, or form prohibited from staking your own stuff. There's just not like a facilitator framework for like Coinbase and Kraken to do it for you. But if you have something in your own wallet and you would like to stake it natively or use literally any DeFi protocol, then you are completely free to do that. So again, that's why DeFi.
That's why DeFi. I'm telling you, man, that's a shirt. Put it on a t-shirt. That's why
I know.
DeFi.
I'm starting to rack up just my one-liners to get you to print me conference shirts for next year. That's probably one of them.
Yeah, and if we can get a closer relationship with Aave, the t-shirt might be just use Aave. Speaking of which, if you are trying to get into the new Aave app, that's another application of community. I know I've put my link in there. I think other people have links in there that you can use. And we were talking about Polymarket yesterday. Now that it's coming to the US, I wanted to issue a quick correction. I have a referral link for the show that you can use to get early access when it does. But turns out the way I said it yesterday was like, no, it's here now. You can go bet on Polymarket if you're in the US. It's actually that it's launching soon in the US. So you got to get, they're doing the waitlist thing, which honestly is a great marketing tactic, but you know, it's another waitlist. So I'm at position like, I don't know, 200. The show is at position 200, whatever, 1,000. And they say the more referrals you get, the faster you move up the line. So I have a vested interest in telling you to use our code, but I also want you to get in. You know, if we get in, we're definitely going to play around with Polymarket on the show. So you can get on the list, get in line, and then, you know, share around your link so that you can get in the party too. Eventually it'll be open to everybody, but for now, we are waiting. We are in limbo. Need the code. Yes, Bearded. It's there in the general chat at community.rumshq.com. Aave Rums. That's why
Bullish.
DeFi. Yeah, super bullish. Okay, here we go. We've got about 20 minutes left of the Rise Up Morning Show week-in shows. If you've got a crypto question, you got a suggestion, you got a good joke, I've got my rim shot at the ready, or a word of wisdom before we ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset, then let us know now, my friends. Yes.
This is a great question for like a lengthy rant on trust issues specifically. Hublai says, I guess expect no crypto or AI regulations until at least 2029, which is effectively forever. This is in response to the idea that talking about the California staking situation with centralized exchanges. You know, he's like, well, okay, so the SEC is not touching it. It's been, you know, relegated to the state level, which is true. Clarity needs to pass before there's like clear definitions about who enforces what and which touches what. That bill is like nowhere near passing. It's being chopped up, and who knows what's going to come out of the Senate. But the crappy part about that is that there's really like no government incentive to do any of those. They got Genius, and Genius is what they want. And now the rest of it is more like what we would need in order for this to really work. But all of the big players, the people who've made the most money from it, the biggest companies, they're all centralized corporations, and they got everything that they wanted with Genius. So that's kind of, I mean, you're right. There is really no incentive to, you know, hurry up and pass the market structure, which is what Clarity has turned into. There's no reason to do anything else. Everything that we've gotten so far has been centralized in focus. The banking stuff, you know, SAB 121 being repealed, Genius being rammed through faster than anything, all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, that's it.
That's it, baby.
That's it.
So this week we've got Binance Blockchain Week. We've got Solana Breakpoint, and in our community, Jay Heat wanted to know who's going to ETH Denver or Consensus next year in Miami.
Yes.
And something we're working on behind the scenes at Rise Up is where we're going to be traveling to. But I did want to put it on your schedule to say one of the best ways, in addition to joining a community, that you can learn crypto is by hanging out, talking about it in real life, especially where the industry is. What's cool about our industry, I think about it less like a sector of business and more like a network state, like Michigan or Georgia or Russia or whatever, right? Except instead of being physical first and defined by geographical boundaries, our citizens, the citizens of the world of Web3, are digital first. And we create physical spaces, sometimes digitally, but when we get together like that, it can be really exciting. It can accelerate your learning journey. It can help you get a job, whatever you want to do in and around crypto. If you're not just somebody who's like, I'm going to buy Bitcoin, I'll see you guys later, then you go to a conference. And even if you are somebody just like that, the people that crypto attracts, yeah, we got some skunks, but I would say by and large, like all people, they're really pretty good, especially if the incentives are great. So I would encourage you to take a look or ask the community. Let us know where in the world you live and see about getting to a crypto conference. The DevConnect conference is going to be in India next year. They're going to have conferences all over the world. Token 2049 is in Singapore, and we will let you know where we're going to travel, but we would love to see some of you there. ETH Denver, where we're going to go, is in February. Consensus in Miami is in May. And then, I don't know, we've been talking about planning a DC trip for a while to talk to some Congress people. There's lots of stuff. So if you got an idea, got a conference, you need one, let us know. I just wanted to shout that out because that's it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be part of something like that, a movement that doesn't necessarily have a home, but everywhere is its home. That's kind of what it feels like when you go to a crypto conference. It feels like coming home. Other countries' clarity like regulation. What does this mean, Alex?
That's just shorthand to remind myself. There's a question: which other countries have passed legislation similar to what Clarity, purports to be, is, or is supposed to be? There's a bunch. I don't mean this to sound mean, but like none that grossly impact the market. But there are a lot of legislative advancements all around the world. The most recent one, actually, I would say, is probably in the UK. I don't know if you saw this one, Evan, but just the reclassification of crypto to property, which just changes the way that custody is allowed of your own stuff.
No.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a great example of like a way that you can start to fix a problem without thinking that you need to pass one thing that is going to fix every problem, which is largely the thing that prevents any progress in the United States, is the inability to piecemeal legislation to solve multiple problems in different stages. There are a million examples of that where we just kind of like let things continue to be problems forever because no one bill is going to be perfect, and we just get tied up in arguing about how it's not perfect. So we don't make any improvements. The UK's property reclassification is exactly one of those ways that you can start to fix it. You can fix the tax problem that way. You can fix self-custody rights that way. You can fix all sorts of shit. So, I don't know. I mean, Japan has done quite a bit. I mean, think of the UAE, Europe. It's an exhaustive list to go through everything. But if you were to throw a Google or an LLM search for like crypto friendly or whatever legislation around the world, list by country, you would get dozens. There's a tremendous amount.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to leave you hanging. I didn't know that was my spot for a reaction. I was caught up in a comment by Raging Cajun about conferences. It's so XRP Vegas. Will I see you guys?
Okay. So the other couples, Eddie asked about Katana specifically, trouble with MetaMask connecting. So quick little tidbit. I have noticed more than once that on occasion wallets are allowed to be connected to protocols, and then something happens and support for it goes through some sort of a change, and all of a sudden you can't connect with the same one that you did before. My specific problem was starting on Katana with Phantom and then no longer being able to connect there. The other problem is that when you deposit to Katana rather, you can deposit on Polygon's chain itself, but you cannot withdraw anything to Polygon because Katana is not a protocol, it's a blockchain. So you need to connect to it as a chain in order to withdraw. So the quick cheat code is to take your seed phrase, don't give it to anybody, but just take your seed phrase for the wallet that you initially made the connection with or the one that you would like to use. And if you haven't already deposited something that you're trying to withdraw, you can just start fresh. But I would just use Trust Wallet. Trust Wallet connects to it very easily, and you can either start a fresh Trust Wallet account and connect to Katana, or you can import your account from MetaMask into a Trust Wallet account wrapper, and then you can connect with the exact same thing. We can go into more detail. I should do a video about importing accounts.
And I will say that's one of those things you really got to watch out about, though. Like, remember your private keys are the key to your kingdom. I would only recommend doing this with a wallet I would consider like a social wallet. Do not do this with your Arculus wallet seed phrase. Do not, unless you're using it as like a everyday walking around wallet. If this is like your Bitcoin wallet for retirement and you're also using it to like DeFi stuff on Katana, I would consider getting a new wallet for that purpose. Alex and I use wallets like this, but they're mostly inconsequential wallets where money doesn't stay, large amounts of money don't go, and that way, if a mistake happens, we don't regret it later, because all it takes is one glance. Somebody gets that seed phrase, that's the key to your kingdom. Everything can be gone. I will say, actually, MetaMask is... We say this sometimes, Alex, like there's a lot of hate for MetaMask inside the crypto industry for its user experience. I like MetaMask when it works. Something that doesn't work well about it is when I try to like connect to a a website like Katana because I want to do a transaction or whatever, it gets a little buggy. Like, we've sent a transaction to your wallet. No, you didn't. Where is it? I don't see it. You know what I mean? Like, sorry. I end up having to do what Alex said. I do have social wallets that I do DeFi stuff with that are loaded into, Rainbow, Phantom, Trust, MetaMask, Coinbase wallet, whatever. You know what I mean? Just because when we were doing Epoch 9 for Octant, we had to sign a transaction to prove we owned a wallet. And I tried with MetaMask first. Didn't work. Tried with Coinbase wallet, didn't work. Went to Etherscan from both those wallets, didn't work. I had to get into my Rainbow wallet and then go do it. I was like, oh my God, we are so far away. Like, we're so early. We are so early. If you're worried about buying Bitcoin because you think you're late, no, you are so early. This stuff is needlessly hard still. So.
Yeah, so Eddie, to wrap that up, we can definitely go into it in more details in Circle, after show, office hours, in the chat, whatever. The good news is that you're not stuck with MetaMask, and you actually don't even need to transfer your assets. You don't have to send it to a new wallet. You can literally keep it in the exact same wallet, and that's using the import feature into a different wallet. You can import your MetaMask account into a Rabby, a Phantom, whatever. The reason, the thing that might cause some problems is you can only do it into a wallet platform that is compatible with the chains that you're trying to create accounts for. So to think of an example, you couldn't, I don't know, I guess a lot of them do a lot of them now, but you couldn't like
you couldn't use Sol DeFi on your Coinbase wallet. Although they do have some Solana assets.
You can't import an Ethereum wallet into a Solflare account wrapper, for example.
Yeah. And this is just another one of those things that is on that list of reasons why you should, again, you could just buy Bitcoin. Eddie, I love that you're exploring on chain. I'm not discouraging you from doing it. I'm just saying, generally, the farther you get from that, you're going to find yourself I want to get this new coin. I want to try this airdrop. Got to create this wallet. A new token is launching on a new blockchain. Well, the only wallet that supports it is this. And then you're going to run into all kinds of just small stuff that's different, but which could really cause a problem. The swap interface is different, so you make a mistake. Or, I don't know, you can't tell where it stores your key, so you know what I mean? It's just, we have a UX problem. Alex, you said we don't, but we sometimes do.
No, I'm not saying that we don't. I'm just saying that that's not the reason your shitty business doesn't have product market fit.
Yeah. I'm going to clip your shitty business doesn't have product market fit. There's an old Alex soundbite that is no longer on this soundboard, but it'll be on my new soundboard when I get all the sounds, and it said, they're just shitty little projects. Actually, there are two. I would play them in unison. One is, I am so tired of cookie cutter projects. And then the other one was, they're just shitty little projects.
Yep.
Along with, little old Brad is a dumbass.
That's my favorite.
That's a great one. And it hasn't been on the soundboard for a long time.
Brad Sherman, still a dumbass.
Still a dumbass.
Hey, man. This is a gross misrepresentation of the facts.
Okay, Alex, it's about that time, isn't it? You got a couple questions before we ride our dogs and ponies and head over to the Circle for the after show?
Yeah, I could briefly touch on this one. The question, I'm not sure that I completely understand it, so please correct me if this isn't what you were asking. But the question was about acquisition inside of crypto, one crypto buying another. And my follow-up was, are you talking about businesses or tokens? And the answer to that was both. So tokens first, because it's easy. Lots of things support swaps from one to the other. Sometimes you need to use an intermediary. So if there's no active trading pair for a crypto and another crypto, then you cannot just swap one into another. Again, that sort of depends on the platform. Some centralized exchanges will facilitate a multi-stage transaction for you and make it look to you like it's just one. But in general, if the trading pair exists, you can swap crypto into crypto. Fun fact, that's a taxable event, even if you're going from volatile asset into another volatile asset. You swap Bitcoin for Ethereum, for example, that's a taxable event. Still have to keep track of that. On the mergers and acquisition side, this isn't a huge topic in crypto. It should be, and it probably will grow in the future. But yes, we do see businesses buy each other all the time. in the regular non-crypto business world, M&A is a massive, massive piece of the equation. Counts for gajillions of dollars every single year, technical term. In crypto, it's less, but growing. Trying to think. I mean, if you were to look up mergers and acquisitions, crypto companies, you would find a giant list of all the different times that different companies have been acquired. Yeah, so it definitely happens.
Yeah, and more now that we're seeing TradFi companies come in. We announced on the show last night that Kraken acquired, the name of the company escapes me, but they are like, they have 60 plus tokenized stock products. Robinhood acquired someone like that. They until that announcement had been like the biggest crypto native purveyor of stocks on a blockchain. I think you're going to see, what was the big one by XRP, Hidden Road, that they acquired. So if you've got a lot of money because you had a really successful token sale a couple years ago, or your Coinbase or whatever, then it could be the move to acquire your way to success. Was it, that was like a big story of the telecom era, was, businesses that were startups that didn't really have a product except their stock and a dream. They would acquire other profitable businesses to grow their empire. Amazon did it. They bought Whole Foods. They bought, it's a tale as old as time. Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, no, Cody Sanchez has a tremendous amount of content about the idea of buying businesses and buying and selling companies. That's kind of her whole thing. It's interesting. I don't really know of any other like big YouTubers that talk about it heavily, but that's like what she does. Although I guess Alec Mosley also has acquisition.com as one of his many businesses.
Good follow-up question here. If a company HBAR purchases a company Poly, meaning Polygon Labs, would their tokens merge or stay separate? I would say that depends entirely. And in that specific example, they would probably stay separate. HBAR is its own layer 1. It's EVM compatible, meaning Polygon, which is a layer 2, has smart contracts, the things that make it work. Could, I think, technically, we'd need to ask a technical question. They could technically run in the same environments, but HBAR is like a closed, permissioned network. Polygon is meant to be sort of an open container that anybody can come build on top of. So they're fundamentally very different. It would be difficult and wouldn't really make sense from a business perspective to merge them. You'd have to build a lot of It'd be like if you were, I don't know, the highway. My business is the highway. I'm the highway. And I'm going to merge with plumbing everywhere. And now I've got to dig up all my highways and put water pipes underneath them. I don't know. You see where I'm going with this? That's a nonsensical analogy, but I hope it illustrates to you how very different these things are. If two companies in the blockchain space merged that were aligned, they might merge their tokens. For example, we had that big artificial super intelligence merger in 2023 where Fetch, Ocean Protocol, and whatever the other one, Singularity AI merged into ASI, and they kept one of the tokens and like rolled the others into it and reissued tokens. And that made sense because they were all kind of solving problems in the same place. Their tokens were more or less compatible. Like you said, RIP. How they doing? I don't know.
RIP. Probably bad. I don't know. Don't care.
It's a touch and go for them. Alex, do you have any final thoughts as we wind the show down for the week?
No.
Anything you're thankful for? We've only got like 21 days till Christmas. You want to throw out a wish?
No, I was having that conversation with my family the other day, being like, I'm at this stage in my life where the only things I would ask for are large, impractical, and expensive. So there's no point, and the rest of it, I would say, just keep your money.
Large, impractical, expensive, or Bitcoin, pretty much.
Or Bitcoin.
I do want to shout out our friend Mike, friend of the show Mike, over at Coinbase and working on his own to launch cool stuff all the time. He just goes home from a long day of coding and building at Coinbase and then codes for fun. So Mike, he's over at Mike, MYK, Crypto Dev, all one word, on X. And, damn it, he has recently coded something called Wishlist, which is just like uses blockchain under the hood way to create a wish list and share it with your friends, claim what you're going to buy for your other friends so that nobody buys if Alex really wants a turkey baster and Will and I see that that's on his Christmas list, then it makes sure that we don't both claim the turkey baster so that Alex, ends up with like 3 turkey basters he's not going to use. And they've also been doing these streams where Mike will get on, usually dressed up as Santa, and he will go through people's wish lists and he will grant their wishes live. He'll buy him a dresser or a spare tire or, a hairbrush or whatever it is that they said they wanted for Christmas. I do believe there is a crypto token that you can buy and use, and I think he's using like transaction fees or something like that to help fund this. But it's a free to use tool, I do believe. Maybe you got to pay a transaction to put your wish list on chain, but it's short. And Mike, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that I haven't tried it myself yet personally. I've just got a long list. But I would love for everybody else to try it and support him. It's Wishlist.Holiday. And his handle again is at Mike, MYK, Crypto Dev. That's my final thought. And I'll say one more time, I've thrown the link in the various chats to join the Circle community. It's totally free. We've got a lot of good stuff there. The only thing missing is you. You can come by today. We're going to start the Circle after show, which is, just the show, but more like a group chat with our friends where everybody can come on stage, hang out, ask their crypto questions. It's a really good time, like Bearded said in the comments, etc. Have you got a final thought? Have you got a good joke for me?
Stop letting rich and powerful people make even more money by taking your money from you. Just do DeFi.
Not as funny as I was hoping for.
Sorry.
It's okay. That's okay. I don't.
Hell of a week.
Hell of a week.
Hell of a week.
Always is. Always is.
Yeah, we've said before, I feel it feels bad sometimes to like get onto the weekend and not have any shows for a few days. I'm always excited for the break, but I'm always like even more excited to get back to Monday. So I guess just, thanks for hanging out and spending all this time with us this week.
Yeah. It's your most valuable asset for sure. And we appreciate that you choose to share so much of it with us. And I really do mean it when I say you're the very best part of what we do. On the way out the door, Jimmy Moore says, I want a bot to trade crypto. I have to address this. You know what I don't want? I don't want a bot. The way I don't want a kid. I love kids. But when you got a kid, you got to feed it. Got to make sure they're not getting into any trouble. You got to like comb their hair, get them a haircut. When you got a crypto bot, you got to adjust the parameters. You got to tweak them. I think what Jimmy wants and what I want is like being an uncle. I love my nephew. I love my niece. I love that I get to hang out with them and get them Christmas presents and make them silly little videos. And then if they needed me, boy, would I be there for them. But it's great that I don't have to spend extra money at the grocery store. It is great that I can trade crypto and there are all kinds of cute little automations, but there's nobody to manage that bot for me. And maybe one day we'll have a better product, but for now, I don't want a trading bot.
Nope.
We gotta go.
Too much.
Gotta go. Okay. You taking us out?
Oh yeah, I forgot I'm driving. Yep.
You are driving.
Thank you everyone for hanging out with us. I appreciate all of you. I was sitting here waiting for Evan to do it.
It's like, why the hell aren't you ending the show, Evan?
Come on. All right. We will see all of you guys on Monday, over the weekend through videos, and hopefully in Circle as well.
Just use DeFi.
Until next time, rise up.
Rise up.